Okay, so here goes. I'm in California, and I'm trying to take a video from my cell phone about the Borston. And I'm sure it's pretty epically awful, but, whatever. Anyway, our section was cataloging the whole of creation, which sounds kind of boring, really. It always makes me think about, like, a library catalog or whatever, which I find exciting, but a lot of people don't. How close am I? I don't know. Anyway, what it's about basically, without all the names and dates that everyone that's in class will give you, is about organizing the whole of nature into something that we can comprehend. And it's really funny, actually, when you think about it. Human beings have that tendency to want to understand in an organized fashion everything. And this specific chapter brought to mind the creators a lot, I think, because we talked about the derivation of images on the whole, or language on the whole, and where everything came from. And that's kind of where this chapter starts with. It starts with images. In cataloging things, a lot of it was done at first with pictures, and they weren't these really technical diagrams. No, they were really, really vivid and beautiful and generalized images that made people want to know what these things were. And then they got more specific. They became true to nature. And then they started, instead of just having this picture and a name, they started providing descriptions. And then after descriptions came the history of the object. And each step in the nature of cataloging became more and more specific, until we got to a place today where, we know the atomic structure and number of molecules and what type of molecules and what's inside of an atom that makes up, the piston of the plant, and then we just keep getting more specific about the families. But I find it really amazing that this theme of something very attractive at first, and then a little less attractive but more specific, and then more fact-based, and then breaking it down to mathematics. It's like everything starts out, every piece of knowledge, be it language or plants or animals or just anything, we start out with this very general idea. And though we don't really need to comprehend everything about it, we have this drive as human beings to do that. And I found that very interesting. And that you've been in class with me for an entire semester, and that everything in my mind is tangential in nature, and I make all of these comparisons. But what do you think that is? Why do you think that's true? Why is it that we have to understand something? And isn't it also funny that people like Newton, who we talked about a chapter ago, but was again mentioned in this chapter, they all start out in their education, in their needing to understand and know, they all start out educated somewhat in religion, or being very pious, or very devout. And then some of them continue with that train, and others break off. And it seems like the further away they get from God, the more specific they want to become in this understanding of everything. It's this dual aspect of humanity where we want knowledge of our universe, and some want control of it, but others just want to understand why they're submitting their will to some other form of control. I guess it's something along those lines. It's probably much more profound than that, but those of us who base our lives around sarcasm don't really understand profound things. Yeah, and I wish I could be there and really lead the discussion in this because it's something I'm very interested in. So I hope that you guys, talk about this after. It's very, okay, that would be the dogs barking. Yep. Oh, there's Heather in the morning. Yep. That would be Professor Heather Moulton.
What are you doing?
Taking a video for honors class.
Oh, no.
I have to. I've just given a very long speech. Anyway, yep, we're in California and we're about to go to Disneyland. And I'm sure my little teammates there have the whole PowerPoint and all of these wonderful details. But I'm just not a detail-oriented person. I just like to talk about the general philosophy behind everything. But if you didn't read the chapter, and I'm sure 80% of you didn't, you really should. There's a lot of good stuff in there. They start talking about geology, too, which is pretty... Stop. Which is pretty fascinating. Start talking about how things that we take for granted, like fossils and rocks and everything, how much people, discoverers of those things in nature, were persecuted by the church because, they had this whole theory that the world was only 50,000 years old, and here's someone saying, no, it's a few billion. And look, here's all these bones of animals way, way deep in the earth that prove that. And again, there's that whole denial, like, despite what nature says, this thing that God has supposedly created, it can't be true because it just can't be that old. It says in the Bible, or we've done all of this other math that says that we as the Vatican are right and that you are wrong and you can't possibly, you've made a mistake. Anyway, it just keeps going in. It's the whole book, The Discoverers, really, if you think about it, is the difference between those who have this really devout adherence to religious principles as opposed to those who want to find the knowledge of creation in what surrounds them, in creation itself. And then those that are stuck in the middle, like Newton, who could have actually done more with his theories on gravity and his theories on mathematics and calculus, except that it started to interfere with his belief in God, which they touch on this chapter as well. But basically I don't know what else to say because I'm talking to the back of my cell phone and no one is answering me. Jenny, how about that Gessner guy, though, that did all the cataloging? Do you think he's related to Dr. Mike Gessner? You're sitting, where are you sitting right now? I'm looking at you. You're in the right-hand corner. And, I don't know. It made sense to me somehow because he's a genius, too. Anyway, that's all I have to say for right now. If you have any other questions, though, you all know my phone number, my email address, and I'll be there on Wednesday. Have a great class period. Bye.